Trekkies and Trekkers. Welcome to this amazing Star Trek podcast on Trek Tuesday. I'm your host Orinda, and together with my lovely co-host Amanda Hopper, we recap every 2 weeks an episode of Star Trek, starting with Star Trek TNG. All the episodes will be recapping chronically following. We will approach each episode with humor and a feminine look. Today's recap is of the episode Lonely Among Us. So, let me introduce you guys to another episode of Star Trek, and of course, my lovely co-host Amanda Hopper will help me with this recap again. Hey Amanda!
Hi!
How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good to hear that. So, we're going to talk about the episode Lonely Among Us. First reaction on it.
It was an interesting episode. There's a lot of twists and turns to it, and I think there's like two different storylines throughout this episode, dealing with a space cloud anomaly and these two delegates that they're transporting on the ship that had a bitter feud with each other. The Anticans, I think, the name of one of them. I forget the name of the other one.
No, other one was the Selays.
Yeah, Selay. One group looks like lizards, the other one looks like furry cats.
Yeah, it was. I think this is one of the memorable episodes in TNG, especially in the first season, because I think when you see it, it will always stick in the back of your mind of, okay, yeah, was that episode.
It was like a bit unusual at some points.
Yeah, it does. And also, what I always think of those delegates was, and I had to laugh again about it, is that they think, or replicated meat food, they think that is barbaric, and they were the hunters.
Yeah, they thought hunted food was better than the replicated food. I would like to try replicated food because, hey, you don't have to clean up dishes. You just replicate your dishes away and replicate your bones away. You don't have to go through all that dirty thing of hunting. You just say, oh, I want a T-bone steak, computer. No mess.
Yeah, and those, they say it were tools, but in the end we see that it is like hunting tools instead of just normal tools.
Yeah, so, they said, oh, these were tools we use for hunting or something like that, he said.
And they explained it that it was very innocent, but it wasn't.
So, those two guys, the two different groups they brought on, neither group liked each other, I mean.
No, and they have to go to some kind of a seminar on the parliament, and they also talked about what kind of if they are really suitable for Starfleet or the Federation of Planets.
Yeah, I think it was Yar that asked Picard, are you sure they're suitable for membership of the Federation?
Yeah, and I had a little pity with Riker and Tasha Yar because they had to be in service of those delegates. And
yeah, they basically had to babysit them.
Yeah, in a way, yeah. The first scene was that the delegates came from the two planets, the Anticans and the Selays, and like you said before, they are like deadly enemies from each other. And the Enterprise have to take them to the Parliament for this seminar. Then we have the scene that Worf is helping Geordi, and with some boring stuff, and Geordi asks Worf, why do you help me with it? So Worf said, had a very intelligent answer to that, and he said, well, our captain wants us officers to learn.
Yep, they're always learning new things on a ship. You think, yeah. Basically, they're learning day after day, no matter what they're doing.
But also, then Worf got that some kind of an energy shock, and
Yes.
he changed.
Yeah, like he was basically possessed by whatever electrocuted him.
And what I really like about that scene as well is when Dr. Crusher checked on him in, I thought it was maintenance, not in the engineering, but somewhere else. And you could see actually what she had in her medical bag.
Tricorder, hypo spray, and well, I forget what else was in there, but I know her tricorder and hypo spray were in there.
Yeah, you know, the weird thing is I had all those medical stuff because I had that for my Dr. Crusher cosplay. But when I moved, I lost them.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, I really hate it, but okay, I'm trying to get them back in a way, so I hope I can find them. Or I need to 3D print them.
Ooh, that sounds fun, 3D printing. It takes a while to print certain items too, I guess.
Well, I know people who are doing it, so it can be done.
Yeah, that's true.
Wolf had been examined by Dr. Crusher, and now he is in the sick bay, and he was totally out of the world, and he couldn't remember what had happened. And then the energy shock went from Worf to Dr. Crusher.
Yes, it did. Like he's laying in sick bay on the bed with this thing across his chest. It's like a, I don't know what you call it, some kind of scanner thing over him. And she's looking on him, examining him, and the next thing you know, the electric shock goes into Crusher.
And then she acting strange, and she went first. I remember to her quarters, and Wesley was there, and he was explaining her some kind of a theory. And then she came with, oh yeah, the house is on the bridge. So she went to the bridge, and it was totally weird how she was acting. But Jordy had a funny answer with because she said, oh yeah, right, this is the helm. And Jordy was saying, yeah, this is the helm. Last time I checked it.
Yeah, that part was funny. Yeah, yeah, this is the helm. Last time I checked it, it's right here.
I must say, Jordy is quite funny when he get going.
Yes, he is. He can be. He has a lot of humor in him.
I think that is also why his relationship with Data is kind of what it is. When Dr. Crusher was on the bridge, all Simpson systems were gonna get into a malfunction.
Because I think when she touched one of the systems, the electric bolt went into the computer system, I think, at that point. And she's like, what am I doing on the bridge?
Yeah, and I think that was the weirdest thing in it, and so the Enterprise was in trouble for a bit, and then we have the next scene where that the Anticans are causing for problems, and that was the scene with that innocent tool to find living praise. And so Riker was saying, okay, this is going to be a problem. I take all your weapons into me, and you will get it back when you beam down back to your own planet.
Yeah, because then I think I think one of them didn't it. One of them lasso Riker with a rope like thing.
So Picard and Riker, and I thought also the other try were in Picard's wedding room, and they talking about the situation. And well, they make a comment there about the state of the Enterprise. If it was in this state, the Enterprise wouldn't have left Space Dock. So it's just I thought it was a few years old, and Picard was saying, how can this be? It's a brand damn new ship, and we got all those malfunction. Get sorting it out. And he said that mainly also to the chief main engineer Singh, because there was everything, all the action going on and off. So.
And Data, while in the ready room, he was all Sherlock Holmes style speak, and he was also smoking one of those pipe.
Yeah, and that was the first time Picard was talking about Sherlock Holmes, and after that, Data went sorted out and find out who Sherlock Holmes was, and he came with those quotes of what Sherlock Holmes had said, and of course the pipe was one of his things that he used to get into character, maybe a little bit too much in character, because
you'll see that in future episodes of him and his Sherlock Holmes adventures, that pipe.
Yeah, but also you can see when Data was talking and Picard was a little bit annoying, and he was saying, Data, quit the pipe, just be you, and I need the information. We're coming back to E-engineering, and Wesley had more or less found a start of a solution and where it's coming from. And quickly after that, there was from the console that Chief Engineering Singh used, the energy shock came over to him. He died.
Yep, he did. It went through Worf, it went through Crusher, then went through the computer system, but for some odd reason, it went through the computer system into Singh, and it killed him.
But that was a really strong energy shock.
Yeah, that's true. Because when you think of it, his hands were touching the comm pad when the electric shock went through, so it would have been stronger. That's probably how it killed him, because it was stronger because he was touching the pad.
Yeah, but maybe it was also that it was centered into the engineering, and because that console was near the warp core, that's why it is so much energy, and maybe the alien outside wanted to test how vulnerable people are.
Oh, yeah, that's a possibility. They probably want to test that.
So we're coming to the next scene, and that was the scene that Tasha was questioning the delegates. And that was also that the Antican delegate tells her that they have caught a big meal, what ended up one of the Selay's ambassadors.
Yep, they caught apparently one of the other delegates and cooked him up and ate him.
What, of course, was a barbaric thing is that of eating meat from the replicator. So Walt goes to the sickbay because Dr. Crusher wanted to ask him about his memory blackout, and you see Worf being a typical Klingon, because we all know Klingons don't like doctors. And
no, they do not.
I remember an episode that I thought Worf had broken his wrist, and he went to Dr. Crusher, and she said, "Wow, that is not unlike you, Worf. You never go to the doctor." And he said, "Well, I am kicking my pride, and I just want to check it out." And I think that scene was a little bit of the human side of Worf, but you could really see in the beginning of TNG that Worf is typical like Klingon.
Yeah. 'Cause I think the Klingons, a lot of them, they were stubborn, they were strong-headed. A lot of them, I think, were opinionated, but they were warriors too. And I think they said something about a warrior feels no pain or something like that, and they want to meet death head on when they go to Stovagor, I guess they said.
Yeah, and I must say, the Klingons in TNG did it for me, because that's in a later season you will have more background episodes about the Klingon world, and of course with Worf. But the stupid thing is, because TNG is my first Star Trek series, I always compare the Klingons, what they make now, with the Klingons from TNG. I don't know if you have that the same thing.
I did catch some of Discovery on Crave, and the Klingons are so different in that compared to TNG.
And the weird thing is, I heard that in a documentary. The first season of Discovery, the Klingons were very, very different. But in the second season, they are more going to the TNG Klingons.
Oh.
So you just saw Discovery Season 1 for the first time?
Well, it was a while back, but I'm going to re-buy it on DVD eventually so I can watch it.
So, yeah, Worf being Worf was very strong-headed and told Dr. Crusher, Dr. Crusher, why did you want to see me? And Dr. Crusher said, well, it's about your memory blackout that you have, I have, and, well, Singh is dead, so that's the only thing we know. And Troy says that she wanted to bring them in hypnosis to see if they can get their memory back in a way. And I must say that was very weird for me, because Troy didn't use any objects so she can hypnotize them.
No, I guess there is different ways you can hypnotize people, like through suggestion, your finger, or like there's different ways of doing it, I guess.
Did the hypnosis, and we see only the hypnosis of Dr. Crusher, and she was talking about some entity that was in her body, and she could only she couldn't do anything because the entity had taken over her body. Tasha Yar and Riker and Data went to Picard's ready room, and she tells them that the questioning of the peace delegates were, and one thing that they got out is that they lied, all of them. That was also the scene that Picard said, okay, let's proceed without the pipe. What was a little bit funny.
Yeah, because Data was smoking the pipe, and it was making Riker and Yar both kind of almost giggle like to themselves, but it was really annoying Picard that he was smoking and speaking like in Sherlock Holmes style.
Yeah, and at that moment they couldn't use that Data was exploring Sherlock Holmes. Then they got a call from, I don't know who it was, from the bridge, that the helm was malfunctioning. And we see Wesley again on the bridge. And although he is just an acting accent, I think he is solving more problems than the officers themselves.
Yeah, he was basically solving a lot of the problems faster than the officers were. Like, he's like, oh, this is supposed to be this and not this. Like, he would have things figured out faster than they would.
You know, and one thing I think that Wesley has maybe the insight of figuring out or sorting out those problems. And I think he learns more on the ship itself than in class. But of course, every child needs classwork, of course. But still, I remember one scene in another episode that was the episode when Dr. Crusher had to go to Starfleet Academy and became the head of medical. And Wesley should have gone with her, but he didn't want to. And I remember a scene with Guinan in 10 forward, and he was, oh no, that was with the nanites. That was with the nanites and Dr. Scrub. And there was, at the end, it was Wesley's fault that the Enterprise computer was full of those nanites. And what would I want to say? You could say he was in 10 forward with Guinan, and Guinan asked, do you really think doing this extra project get you in a high figure? And he says, I'm too smart, I always get an A. So, yeah, that was the point. I also think, yeah, you could see how smart he really is. And it's no wonder that he, stepped into the ranks so high, so fast, because there are not many children who are at that age and acting ensign.
Nope, it was a rare thing for a kid Wesley's age to be an acting ensign and still be in school.
Yeah, and that was also in the episode when Wesley went for his academy exams.
Yeah, because he was considered the youngest, I think, to take the exam.
Yeah, but also you could see about his experience and of the things he already been taught on the Enterprise is that he has a huge advantage of it. So let's get back to the episode. The Anticans and the Selays are hunting each other down, and that was, I think for us the barbaric thing. And when they were looking what's wrong with the helm array, Picard get that energy bolt.
Yes, the bolt went into him, and it kind of basically possessed him. Where it wasn't technically him talking, but the energy alien creature was talking through him.
Yeah, and it was really, of course, we know it was really weird how he acted, but when he was between the helm and ops console, he was sending an energy wave through the whole ship. So everything went down, and everyone went down.
Yeah, they got blinded by the lightning bolts that he was sending out through the ship's main deck, and everybody couldn't see him because it was that bright.
I think we have seen that before, but this was totally different than the other energy bolts. But in a way, he blocked everyone out, and he went to the transporter rooms to beam out, and that was a very dangerous thing, because Picard would be only energy then.
Yeah, he would, like, if he beamed out, he'd mostly be like energy.
And the Enterprise went looking for him for about an hour, and they couldn't understand where he was. There was no indication, not on the scanners, not on every test they did. But they knew Ken Picard was out there.
Yeah, he was just basically floating out there like in amongst the energy cloud as energy. They just couldn't find him.
No, and after an hour they really needed to go to the parliament because they need to deliver those delegates. And at that moment, on the Helm's console where Jodie was sitting, appears a energy as in a P for Picard.
Yeah, he was letting them know that he was still out there. That he's like, help, I'm still out here, I'm still alive.
Well, and then Data became smart again. And he was saying, well, I have an idea. This may be helping. We need to go to the transporter room quickly. Troy and Riker followed him. And I thought, if I remember correctly, they reversed the transporter beam so Picard will be coming back as human in the transporter room.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, I heard in one episode they have everyone's DNA on file in the transporter.
Yeah, and that would help bringing him back. And I remember, and that was also in one of the other episodes with Scotty, that they did that the same way with Scotty.
Yeah, him and his bud was stuck in a transporter loop for I think 60 years, I think it was.
But before Troy, Data, and Riker went to the transporter room, and I forgot that, I see it just now in my notes, it was also Troy who felt Picard. And then it was that the Helm console went nuts and the P of Picard appears. What of course was really a little bit strange, but and you know, what was a little weird was that when Picard was out there, Troy couldn't sense him.
No, she couldn't sense any reading off him through her telepathic mind because she just couldn't read him.
And just because the energy P of Picard appears, she could feel him.
I said, that's weird. First she doesn't sense him, then she does sense him after the P appears.
Yeah, that's my point. So
I'm like, that's a continuity error right there, wouldn't it be?
Or maybe it is the case is that Riker or Picard was telling them that the entity was abandoning him. So maybe that's why she could sense him then. You remember that also Dr. Crusher talked about that there was someone in her body but she couldn't do anything.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah, because it was Picard was acting funny when it was in his body and it was controlling him basically, so he was saying stuff, but it wasn't through him, it was through the creature that was saying it.
I must say, I found it was a little bit weird, alien energy-ish thing, because if we are looking also, and I'm also going to refer to another episode, there was an episode that there was a energy form, life form, that came into Diana Troy, and then she had a little boy.
Oh, that episode! Yeah, love that episode. Yeah, so, it was like a ball of light, and then when Troy, she had a baby in less than a week, apparently, or a few days, and it just wanted to grow up to know what humans were like what people were like.
Yeah, it was very curious about the human life form, but when I was talking and thinking about that, maybe the writers did that because this episode with the energy life form was so fake, what the energy life form really was, because they don't talk about that. They don't explain what kind of a life form or alien it was.
No, they just thought it was just a cloud in space that they went through.
So I think that episode with Diana Troy was maybe a making up episode, like, okay, maybe we did that wrong and now we're gonna make it up to you, fans.
Yeah, like they're like, oh, whoops, we didn't kind of give a history of what this thing is, but we'll give you this episode to explain better.
Although I did like that episode with Diana Troy and having a child.
I love that episode too.
So, Picard being back to the Enterprise, and he was very surprised about what was he doing in the transporter room. So Riker laughed and said, "Yep, that's our captain." And then Tasha Yar came in, very panicking in a way, and she told, "Oh, sure, good to have you back, but it seems that the Antican delegates had eaten one of these Selay delegates." And I do think Picard's reaction was a little funny with it, because he was saying, Riker, this is your problem now. I'm going to head back to my quarters and get some peace over this everything. Riker said to your lieutenant, "Couldn't you wait just for a second? Hello, the captain is just back." Of course, it's an episode ending with that the Anticans have eaten one of the Selekans. They had it coming in the end, and I mean, like, story-wise.
But to say that they didn't have much of a story about the two alien races, they just had them sprinkled in throughout the story. And you're wondering, what's going on with these two while they're on the ship? Well, we found out that one kills the other.
In one way, I think they could do more with the end of it. I don't know what your opinion is like that.
We could have had more story about the Anticans and the other group.
Yeah, but I also mean I would love to see that planet Parliament and how everything ended with the delegates on. Of course, one of them ate one of them, and now they have to go to some kind of a peace conference and be introduced as maybe a potential ally for Starfleet.
Yeah, you don't get to be a potential ally in the Starfleet membership if you're going to eat one of your enemies. You're going to a peace conference, you don't eat your mortal enemy.
Yeah, and my personal thoughts was about that. I would love to see a little bit more of it, because, like you said, it's kind of two storyline this episode, and story is seen between them is that, okay, they hate them, they hate each other, they hunt each other, and they end up eating one of each other.
Yeah. They should have showed them arriving at the peace conference.
I think it would be interesting how this all coming out before the peace conference, and how they what their feelings were and emotions were to go on a peace conference knowing that one of the species have eaten the other. So we are at the end of this episode now. Is there something you'd like to add?
It was an interesting episode, yeah.
Yeah, it was. And like I said in the beginning of the episode, I think this would be one of the episodes that will hang back in the back of your mind, because it was so noticeable in the way of how it is written, but also how the story went.
Yeah, it was an interesting story for this one.
So, the last thing we still need to do is rating it. What do you think about this episode?
Oh, it was interesting. It had interesting storylines, like two different stories, I think, going on between like the Anticans and the unknown cloud that they traveled through that was possessing people and shocking people. It was an interesting episode, to say the least.
And what number? How would you rate it?
Around a 7 or an 8.
I'm comfortable to give this an 8.
Yeah,
It's not the best,
then.
but it is. But I think this is the only episode, and maybe the only episode in the whole Star Trek franchise that that had 2 storylines.
Yeah, there are probably quite a few episodes that have double storylines.
Okay. This is a question that is a little bit off topic. Well, off topic it isn't, but it's about another Star Trek series. Did you see already the first episode of Star Trek Prodigy?
No, I did not. I don't know if it's on. I think it's on the Sci-Fi Channel. That's kind of hard to watch when your dad hugs the TV.
If you can get it or watch it, I can recommend it because I loved it. I really loved it. It is more than I expected, and especially with the hologram Janeway, that was so super awesome. And well, if you can't get it, I may have a way that I can show you the first episode. I think I have it somewhere, so give me a call if you want to see it.
Okay, or I can wait for it to come on DVD and watch it.
Can do too, your choice. Well, Amanda, it was really nice to talk to you again.
Yeah, same here.
And the next episode we will recap is Lucky Me, a Wesley Crusher episode named Justice.
Oh, yes, that episode.
So, that also is a very interesting episode.
Oh, yes, they go down to a planet with people that are basically dressed in hardly anything. And Wesley manages to
Get in
commit
trouble.
a crime it's basically a crime that Wesley commits by accident.
Yeah, and because Wesley was on that planet as a hostage, somebody else went back to the Enterprise as a hostage too, because Picard had question about that ship thingy around the orbit, and that was intimidating the Enterprise. And as soon as she saw that, she kneeled and said, "You are gods to us. You can take the boy whatever you want. And we are nothing compared with you." So that episode is super interesting as well. And we are already going to be a little bit of recapping this now, but okay, can happen. But yeah, it is very a nice episode, and I really love to watch it again. I say goodbye to you, Amanda, and to you guys, live long and prosper.
Yeah, talk to you guys later, and yes, live long and prosper.
Dear listeners, thank you for listening, and join us in 2 weeks for a new episode recap. In the next episode, we will recap the episode Justice, of course, a Wesley Crusher episode. Girls Talking Trek is also to listen, follow and subscribe on Anchor, Google Podcast, Spotify, the Facebook group, and the YouTube channel. If you'd like to comment on the episode or talk with us about the episode we just recap, you can reach out on the Facebook group and the YouTube channel of Girls Talking Trek. We will see you in 2 weeks. Live long and prosper.